Hello and welcome to TOD Rolls Dice, where today we're going to take a quick look at the Warhammer Day preview show that happened yesterday, especially now that WarCom is back up and running. Whatever the problem was, they fixed it. Good on their tech servitors. So we've got quite a few things to look at. I'm just going to jump around. We are going to take a look at the articles, but we're going to jump through this in the order that it was all revealed. So we have a little bit of Underworlds. We have some Slaves to Darkness for AOS, we have some new Kill Team, and some new Mechanicum stuff for Imperialis. And the Christmas battle boxes have been revealed. Oh, and a sneaky little tease down the bottom there for 40k that's coming soon. Well, next year. So how about we start at the top? A new edition of Warhammer Underworlds brings the battle to Emberguard. So this is a complete reworking of Underworlds, very much like they're doing with the Middle-earth strategy battle game. They're tweaking it, they're rewriting the rules, they're trying to make it more succinct, simplify, make it more engaging, and hopefully bring more people in. But ultimately it's the same game. They're keeping what people loved about that and just reworking it all to hopefully make this a jumping in point for people who maybe don't play Underworlds or have never played and now they're thinking, actually this looks kind of cool. Or the veterans who know it very well, they're tweaking things a little bit, but it's still going to be the familiar game that they love. So they're trying to just spread the net a little bit while catering for the people who already play. It's not a game that I've ever played, I don't think. It's like deck building. There's a little bit of very simplified, dumbed down Magic the Gathering deck building idea, and each model has their own abilities and things. The artwork has always been cool though. The models, some of the models, some of the warbands are just some of the nicest stuff that they've done, truly. But this is a brand new starter box. It's called Emberguard. This is going to be releasing probably back end of this year. You get 2 new warbands. First warband is obviously Stormcast Eternals for a launch box for fantasy. There has to be Stormcast Eternals. A couple of nice models. I really like this one in the middle, the dual swords, well, the sword and dagger and then the throwing daggers. I think that's a wonderful pose with the cloak flowing. Quite like that one as well with they have like a weird crossbow. The crossbow is rotated a bit to make it look a little, I don't know, individual, special for Stormcast. I'm not a big lover of these giant bow rifle things. I'd rather just have a bow, personally. But the other 2 models I think are really nice, and I quite like the cloak with the wolf pelt and thing. That's cool. And the other half of the box, again, because it's a launch box, and this edition of AOS, they're really pushing the Skaven and Skaven new models. They're up against Skaven. Little bomb rat, which we've seen previously. This is the leader there with some sort of rifle drill thing, warpstone drill. He has a new metal claw. There's a driller there who apparently just zips around the battlefield. And then a couple of other minions as well, one throwing a bomb and then one very Necron flayed one-y with claws and yeah, creepy. I mean, it just shows you how messed up the Skaven can be to their own. Also comes with all of the brand new rival decks that you'll need. They've broken these down into 4 different ways of playing. As I say, I don't really know, but this is everything that you'd need. Rulebook tokens, it's a single board instead of 2 boards. But as I say, I don't really know, I've never played it. But I think this looks pretty cool. I don't know if it's enough to get me interested, but I do like the models. The Skaven models are cool. I really like some of those Stormcast models as well. So who knows, it might just be worth picking up just to have another game that we can look at doing on the channel, just to expand our horizons. It wasn't part of the plan, but you know, if it's a decent price and there is a bit of a buzz about Underworlds and people are interested in it, it's something that I'd be happy to cover. So moving on, this was the highlight for me. Absolute wondrous news for the Slaves to Darkness. The Battletome, a new character, which we'll touch on, and more importantly, my favourite reveal was the Darkoath Spearhead. There's the new Battletome. This will of course be available in the hardback and the gamer edition that comes with the cards that they started doing for this. But that's the cover. Looks pretty cool. Obviously we've got a sorcerer and a couple of warriors and things. This is the new character. So we touched on Darkoath, Bane of Law, who was a Warhammer Day miniature, special miniature. Chaos Sorcerer Lord. They're also releasing another Chaos Sorcerer Lord, which is this guy there. You can see he's got a couple of heads, a couple of staff options. Looks very similar, but definitely not as cool. If we hadn't have seen Darkoath, I'd be happy with this. I do like that head. It's a little Uruk-hai style, you know, the head with the horns, but you've got the little blade there. In fact, it's more Mouth of Sauron, isn't it? And yeah, I can just see you making this drooling, horrible mouth from that head. But the rest of it is, it's nice. It's a Chaos Sorcerer Lord. But if you pick up the Darkoath model, I think that's much nicer. And then onto the Spearhead. This is just wonderful. And I think this is a really good choice. So you've got, led by a War Queen. You've got 10 Marauders. Obviously there's a champion in there. There's a musician, and then there's this the banner bearer there. You also get the Warcry team, the specific Warcry team from a couple of years ago. Savages. Beautiful model. They are my favourite Darkoath kit, I think. I need to get mine painted up. They're all primed and ready to go. I've also kit bashed a couple of different options, which we'll touch on in another video. I think that we could do a series of me assembling my Darkoath Raiders Spearhead. I think that'd be cool, because I've got all these models separately. Some of them aren't built, some of them aren't painted. We could run through that. And then 5, the wonderful Fell Riders. Really, really, really nice models. There's something about mounted cavalry. I think it goes back to Rohan in Lord of the Rings. Seeing mounted cavalry charging and throwing spears and taking control of the battlefield and the power that they have, I love it. I absolutely love that idea. So instead of the War Queen, it will be the same rules, but I have a War King. I like to kit bash stuff, as you probably know, and this is going to work. That is my representation of me as a Darkoath chief. I have a mounted version as well, which I'll show off at a later date. I just love kit bashing. I love bringing myself into these armies, and he will be the figurehead of this Spearhead, and then we'll get some games in. So I've been waiting for this. I'm really looking forward to this. Everything I've heard about Spearhead has been brilliant. It's a really fun game. I've played it once. I think I had the demo in the store. I played Skaven against the Stormcast, and it was a draw, amazingly. But we probably got some of the rules wrong. But I'm really looking forward to getting into it. So yeah, that's the highlight for me. A little bit disappointed that we're only getting this one new character and he isn't as good as the Commemorative miniature. But I'm looking forward to this book. This is my AOS army. My main army, potentially my only army. We'll see how it goes. We may expand if it's popular. But I love this. I'm so excited to finally get, because I've never branched into AOS before. This is my first edition playing AOS. I don't really know the lore that much, I just know little bits, so this is going to be a really interesting read for me to learn more about this faction that I'm now indebted to with the Dark Gods. But that's really cool, I'm really excited about that. Next up, they touched on Legions Imperialis, so as I think they teased, I don't think I went over it, but at some point they teased the Ad Mech coming to Legions Imperialis. They're getting their own battle box with all the models and the little troops and things. But they're doing a campaign book, The Rise of the Dark Mechanicum. We're finally getting some Dark Mechanicum models. But this is a cool idea. They're branching out. It feels like it's got their rules, but it's also a little bit of a narrative vibe, I believe. And then we have this, the Serperos Siegebreaker Walker, which is very cool, very arachnid, very insectoid. It would have been cool to see it for the actual tabletop, you know, proper size, because it's just massive and it looks cool, very doomsday machinery. But this is officially the Dark Mechanicum coming to a game with more than just a couple of characters. Hopefully this is going to branch out into a full faction. I'd love to see them in 40k. Certainly with Vashtor and the weird things that he's doing and branching out his faction, giving him some Dark Mech, and the weird, creepy, horrible stuff that they've been working on for centuries, for millennia. I think that would be really cool. This is the start of it. Who knows where it's going to go. It would have been cool if it was bigger. It was for the proper tabletop instead of the tiny little micro heresy. But I think it's cool anyway, and I'm interested to see where it goes. Next one we'll touch on is... So this ties in with Kill Team because they are actually going to get narrative Kill Team rules and a little mission that's written by the Kill Team designers for these guys. But we finally have new Ratlings. This is a special commemorative diorama for Thanksgiving, I'm going to guess. As you can see, he's got his roast chicken, his pie, offering him a sausage, a swig of some sort of alcohol. There's a cup of recaf up there. It could be recaf, it could be tea, who knows. It's just a fun, quirky little diorama piece. I'm sure that people will want to pick it up and paint it. It doesn't do much for me. I'm not a lover of the Ratlings. But it's very cool, and I think we've seen some of these shots in Rumour Engines before. This is going to be up in November, obviously for Thanksgiving. It's quite nice that they're celebrating other holidays that aren't necessarily British, though. So that's cool, and they look fun. They just look fun. But Ratlings leads us into the new Kill Team box. Really, really strange that they're showing this off now, because on the day that this was shown off, Kill Team had just released. So when's this coming? Have they shown this off because they were showing off the Ratling commemorative miniature that's coming next month? Does that mean this is coming next month? In which case, that's far too much Kill Team. You can't have a release every month for the size and the cost that they are, especially when people are getting into a new edition. These two teams in here will put it up to 35 teams that have rules for Kill Team, which is a bit mad. But they are nice models. They don't necessarily do it for me, but they are nice models. This is Orks and Ratlings, Brutal and Cunning. So we have tank busters. I'm assuming that really this box, outside of the terrain, this box is a 40k needs these new armies, or these new units for armies. So we're going to do them and we're going to put them in a Kill Team, and then we're going to make it really scarce to buy for 3 months before you can get them in 40k. That's how this feels to me. But the Ratling squad specifically looks like it is designed for Kill Team. But we've got the Orc tank busters, we have the boss knob there, giant hammer, bit of a drill, and a rocket pistol, because why not? We've got a Breaker Boy Crusher, he's obviously a melee guy, and a Breaker Boy Demolisher, who's got a rocket hammer. Apparently he can get in close, swing with the hammer, and if he wants to, he can press the red button and explode the rocket. I expect that will do a lot of damage to everybody in the area. But that sounds fun and crazy and very Orc-like. You've got a Tank Buster Gunner and a Breaker Boy Fighter. I'm guessing that's... No, that's a different pose. That's the same pose as that. Same legs. So are they showing us how you can build the models? Interesting. But you got a Tank Buster Gunner, rocket launcher. Obviously you're going to take a rocket launcher. That's probably going to have blast, firecrack missiles, and yeah, I expect that to be awful to go up against. You've also got a Rocketeer who has more rockets, loads of different types of rockets, cool tusks on the gun, really nice model, and a couple of new bomb squigs. There's obviously one who's ready to go super fast with his rocket, and one's got a tank mine strapped to his head and a grenade in his mouth with the pin around his tooth. The squig models are just glorious, aren't they? They're so fun. They're so characterful. Very cool. I I have the commandos. I've not done anything with them. They are built, but that's as far as it's got. I like these. I like the idea of orcs. I'm just not entirely sure that that's my playstyle. But this is definitely an elite orc team. They also confirmed in the stream that they have a 4-up save. So they're tank boys, pretty tanky. Very cool. And then it goes through a couple of rules here. And then onto the Ratlings. And each one of these models has a lot of character. But also, one of the nice things about them is it seems like this is a team of all specialists. You've got a fixer, he's the leader. Cup of tea, binoculars, beret to show that he's in charge. You've got a big shot. The fun thing with the big shot is this is a las rifle. Or a las sniper, las fuse, or whatever they're called. On the power pack, he's just toasting a cheese sandwich. Because why not? Got a hard bit and a spotter. Again, these all feel very specialist. Bomber comes with a couple of trip mines. Really cool. I hope that they actually do have rules. Got metal arm there. That's cool. I didn't notice that. So he's going to be sneaking around, close combat. I would really like to think that because these guys are short, they also have got a cigar as well. They also have, like, you're always in cover. I think that would be quite cool. You have a stash master. He's just going to be running around, probably giving everybody ammo or some sort of buff. That's what he looks like. Raider, guy with a grappling hook. He's probably going to be more jumping around, claiming objectives and things. Very similar to the Commando's grots. You got a sniper there. He looks like he's got specialist ammunition, maybe sleep darts to make that gun silent or something. You got a Vox thief. He's listening in, trying to find where they can steal the next snacks from. I expect him to be very much like a normal comms. A really nice characterful model. Then you got a sneak, who's a sniper with a camo cloak and splinter cell goggles. I think he's going to be very similar to all the other models that have camo cloaks and things. And probably the star of the show is the Battle Mutt, who's running around with, looks like ammo and pouches and things on him. But his whole job is to basically warn them when there's enemies coming, so that they can run away. Which leads us into their rule, Scarpa. So, yeah, it just means that they can perform a free dash, moving away from... Interesting. After each enemy operative's activation, before the next operative is selected, you can perform a free dash with one friendly Ratling operative, excluding Bulgrin, Ogryn, and Sneak. But it cannot finish the move within 3 inches of the enemy operative unless it's not visible to every enemy operative when it finishes that move. So that actually gives us a hint that this is a Ratling squad, but you can also take Bulgrin on Ogryn, because the Sneak is that specific character there, so he can't use it either. So maybe that's how you get a little bit of combat in with them. You can take an Ogryn or a Bulgrin or something. It's an abhuman team. Interesting. Ratlings in particular are notorious for their light-fingered antics and breathtaking disregard for private property, but their skills as snipers is undeniable, as is the raw power of Ogryn brutes who hang around with them. They haven't told you what the asterisk means. That's annoying, but it sounds like you can run Ogryns and Bulgrin with them. They're going to be an interesting team. That's maybe why they're all specialists, because the troops. Interested to find out more. That could be a hell of a team, actually, as we're figuring out the new rules for the new edition. But they're definitely wonderful models, very characterful. And then down to the scenery. So unlike the box that just released for Hivestorm, this looks very much like the previous season, where you would have the big box and the terrain. The terrain would be available separately, and then every box would just add a little extra terrain or narrative elements. They did it with into the dark to a point, Season 2. Then they really went with it for Season 3, where you'd get a couple of power generators for Volcus, for the better Decima terrain or what have you. And it just helped you expand your terrain collection and gave you specific rules for these pieces, but you didn't actually have to use them if you didn't want to. They certainly weren't necessarily built on the competitive side, it was more of the narrative side. So you get a couple of doors, looks like a bunker really. The way that they spoke about it is, the idea is that the narrative in this is the Orks are attacking a bunker and the Ratlings are trying to hold them off. It's a breach and defend. A couple of things there, looks like an ammo crate, like a couple of ammo crates there, maybe that's a grenade crate, and then a health crate as well. I would assume they will have narrative rules, but you can't actually interact with them in competitive games. I like this, I really like this terrain. The highlight is the terrain. I love a good bit of terrain, and this looks really nice. It'll go very well with all of the Volcus stuff that comes in the Hivestone box. An extra little bits of splash scenery and things. Wonderful. You get your tokens, you get your cards, you get your dossier for all the rules. Yeah, I like this. I don't know why we're seeing it now. Probably because they're showing that one off, and that's out next month. I hope that this is not coming out until sort of late December, early January next year, just to give people time to get into the game and kind of understand it. But I think they'll rush this out. I think they're still behind on their schedules. They've had a lot of disruption this year with previews, with things being shipped, with releases getting pushed around. They haven't given us any real release dates for any of this stuff. And I expect it'll either drop for Christmas, because that's the kind of thing that will drop December, the week before Christmas, and then it's the Mad Scarper to get hold of it. But I think Lord of the Rings will come out around then, and I don't think they'll want to put the two together. Who knows? I'm hoping this is January, just to have a bit of a break, because I'm looking at Lord of the Rings in December. But this will be out at some point in the next few months, I'm sure. I'd love them to let Kill Team breathe a little before they start throwing out more expansions, but more Kill Team is cool, because I like Kill Team and I like the terrain in this box. Final thing that we'll touch on is the battle boxes, the battle forces for Christmas. So we have the Penitent Crusher Host, which is sisters. As you can see with this, the idea is they've taken a detachment from their codex and they've basically given you models to expand on what you may already have from the Combat Patrol, but also it is that detachment in a box. It's a good way to start off with that detachment. Sisters 1, I don't know what the Penitent Crusader does. It's obviously something to do with the penitents and puring their sins and whatever. But yeah, you get a couple of rhinos, you get a couple of walkers and some troops. The Hyperion Crypt, again, Necrons. I thought that maybe a Monolith would have been good in there instead of the Catan, but looks like a nice box. The Retaliation Cadre, which is very few in number, but it's all battle suits. And this is probably a good start for somebody who's wanting to go down the battle suit route of Tau instead of the Kroot stuff that they've been pushing. So you've got a Ghost Keel, a Commander, a Broadside, and a Riptide. Depending on the price of that, that could be a very good box if you want all those models. And the Ghost Keel is such a nice model. And then my favourite one, I won't be picking it up, but my favourite one, the Lion and his chosen Inner Circle Task Force operatives. So you've got a couple of the Inner Circle companions, and then 2 sets of the Deathwing Knights and a Chaplain to lead them. If you're wanting to get into Dark Angels, if you don't have any of this, or just melee Terminators, this is a good way to go. And they are, all of them, lovely models. And finally, the Valor Strike Lance, which is Knights. Big box of Knights, and apparently that is a lot of points towards doing an army. So if you're into Knights or you want to start Knights, this is probably a very good way of starting. Which is the whole idea. But yeah, very cool. Really nice boxes. I think each one of them has its merits, and depending on the prices of them, they are usually very good value. And then we had 4 of the Age of Sigmar boxes. Again, these are designed to link in with the Spearhead boxes, so you have a Spearhead box and there isn't that much crossover. This is on Founding Foray. So you've got a cannon, you've got some of the Fusiliers there, Command Squad, Knights, the Cavalier guy, I can't remember what his name is, and the troll with the sniper up top. A nice box if you want to get into cities. It doesn't give you any real foot troops, any melee troops. But if you're wanting to add some range, this is probably quite a nice box to go for. So this is the Charnel Grand Jury, this is the Flesh Eater Courts. I don't know what any of these are. I just know that the guy in the middle is a judge who has a wig made of intestines, which is hilarious. A lot of these, I think, are new sculpts. They did have a refresh recently, but really nice models. Crazy, just so much flavor in them. Yeah, I can't tell you if it's good, but it's probably going to be really good value when it comes out, I'll put it that way. Next we have the Iron Jaws, the Wrecker Mob. Nice big orc boss on a hog there, and then a load of troops. Again, I don't know how they play. I don't really know much about the Sigmar stuff outside of my beloved Darkoath. But there's a lot of models in here. Big tough guy. Orcs are usually pretty tough and hit very hard. And it's built around the Wrecker Mob playstyle. So yeah, you've got them, and then finally you've got the Maggotkin of Nurgle Shudderblight Cyst. Already that name is just gross, isn't it? And you've got some of these giant flying bug things with, I think they're ogres on, Nurgly ogres. Got some warriors. I believe that looks like the Warcry warband as well. And then you've got the Harbinger of Decay, which is an absolutely beautiful model. Again, don't know anything about Nurgle. I'm fairly new to all of this stuff. But there's a lot of big things in there. It looks like it'd be a problem to fight. Final thing was this little tease for Emperor's Children coming in 2025. So this was a showcase for Chaos. Ultimately, there was a lot of Chaos. They could have leaned in a bit more, but everything but Kill Team got a little bit of Chaos. Orcs bring their own Chaos, don't they? So we'll forgive them. It was a really good showcase. They've changed the format. I'm going to link this article in the description if you want to check it out, and from here you can go through and read all of the little bits, the snippets of rules and things for anything that you're interested in. This was a very good preview show. They've changed up how they do it again, and it was just Nick and Alex talking about the reveals. They actually showed the reveals. They had videos of the models. It was so much better. It felt just much more casual and less, I don't know, less awkward. Just two guys talking about their experiences of playing with this stuff or what they thought of this stuff. And I thought it was a really good show overall. I hope they stick with this format instead of going back to the previous one. So well done, Games Workshop. You've actually did a preview show that I enjoyed and sat through all of without thinking, this is crap. So well done. Stick to this. They did confirm there will be another preview show in November at the Tampa Open. And they also released a brand new short, The Enemy Without, a Deathwatch vignette that is free to watch on Warhammer TV. Again, you can get to it from the previous page. I'm not going to show it, I'm not going to go into it anymore, but there is a really nice little tease. They're showing off different models and things. So you can watch it for free now. But on the subject of Deathwatch, and I'll read this, lots of you have gotten in touch over the last few weeks with your thoughts on the way that Deathwatch kill teams now work in games of Warhammer 40k. Okay, we hear you. A couple of squads is not enough. You want to mobilise the might of a full watch fortress. Yes, you morons. That's always been the case. While such developments are rare in the 41st millennium, they are not unknown. And the Ordo Xenos, and the Warhammer Studio for that matter, is not deaf to the many calls for aid. So we can confirm today that in December we'll be releasing a digital update with more options for you to take Deathwatch Army to the field and lay low the alien menace. Watch this space. It's good to know that they're listening. It's good to know that in December we're going to be getting an actual release for them. Digital release, digital update. Makes it sound like it's going to be free. Good. It should have been in the book. If it was in the book, I would have considered picking up the book. But it isn't. But it sounds like it's going to be a free update. And it's coming in December. So I'm looking forward to that. So this is good news. This is excellent. It's good. You know, the last couple of weeks I've seen a lot of real positive things coming from Games Workshop. I think they're starting to fix a lot of the problems that they have sort of ingrained in themselves over the last few years. Which they needed to. But they're incredibly successful, and if these changes are positive, their success will grow. And interestingly, in December, we also have the secret level animation with Space Marine 2 characters. Space Marines tying in, more promotion for Warhammer, and that's the Amazon thing. Really, 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 really cool. Looking forward to seeing this. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think this overall showcase was better? And what are you most excited about that's coming soon to Warhammer? Thank you very much for watching. See you all in the next one.